to put the homestead exemption in line with inflation, like half of it, I would think
Hmm.
in my mind that sounds like a good idea, but I'm like, is there any downside to this that I'm not thinking about? Homestead exemption.
Okay, I paused that one. Sorry, Carly. It's whenever
Yep.
we go on to the live, for some reason, it likes to have both of them.
Reverb. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, once you go live, you need to pause it.
I
Not pause it, mute it.
muted. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I think I paused it, guys. Let me go back to it. I paused it. So do I just play and just hit,
In line.
right? Okay. All right. There we go, Carly. All right. So tell me what you were just talking about, Carly.
No, so you know how I got my like absentee ballot or whatever, and there was one that's about homestead exemption. You know, there's always like a couple on there about various things. There's one that's
Okay.
related to us with like homestead exemptions, and it's trying to tie half of your homestead exemption to inflation. And I'm saying like I think that's probably a good idea because home prices are probably only gonna go up, but I don't know.
So
I'm
are they
trying to
saying
just
that they're the homestead exemption that they're gonna tie to the house, are they saying you're gonna get a better discount or something? Is that what they're saying?
proposing says proposing an amendment to the state constitution to require an annual adjustment for inflation to the value of current or future homestead exemptions. So basically, if your home goes up in value, you can get more homestead exemption,
Exemption.
I think. I
Oh,
think that's what it's
well,
saying, which I think would be good, but I'm sitting here
yeah.
like, is there any reason why that would be bad?
No.
It usually doesn't go the other direction is my only thing. I was like, if home prices were somehow to go down, then you lose your homestead exemption. That would be
Yeah.
the only negative but that almost never happens.
Well, I think maybe where they're going at with it is, and probably a really good idea is one size doesn't fit all because you got to think about
Right.
someone with a $250,000 house. Why is their exemption the same as someone with 450? It's like it's straight across the board, 50K
Yeah,
comes off
yeah,
all homesteads. But if my house
right.
is worth more, should I not get more off? Because I'm paying
Yeah,
more in taxes ultimately.
yeah. I mean, the value of your home is going to go up and your taxes go up every year because your home
Exactly.
appreciates. So should your, yeah, okay. See, I think that we agree on that. I just was like, let me run it by another real estate person and see if their mind is in the same place that mine is.
Yeah, and matter of fact, I said when I leave from here, when I get finished with here, I'm gonna go vote myself. I like
There you
early.
go.
'Cause I am
It's,
not
I'm getting it done. I'm
still.
not waiting in those lines that day. I don't know. People are so vitriolic over all this mess. I'm like, I'm just put mine in
I
the
am
mail
not.
and thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, ma'am.
Let's just submit that and go.
All right, so we've been talking for a couple minutes, waiting to get people in. And so we can jump right in, Carly, because like I
Okay,
said,
let's do it.
this is going to be voting day for me. So
There you go.
I want to go ahead and get us started and go on with our day because we are working individuals. So I still have
Oh,
a pipeline to get through.
oh yes. Yes, ma'am. Always. Good thing. It's a good thing.
And so it's good to see you again, Carly. Thank
Yeah,
you
always.
once again for tuning in with me, girly, every week.
Yeah,
Every
always.
week. So, guys, thank you all for tuning in weekly with us. Today's topic, and let me go on to our slide. Let me share it real quickly for you. Or that's not the right screen. Give me a second, y'all. We do this every week, don't we?
Yeah.
But don't y'all worry. Don't y'all fret.
There you go.
Don't y'all fret. We got it here. All right, y'all. So today we're going to be talking about unlocking home equity and how the HELOC can help you upgrade and sell smarter, right? So the HELOC loan, a lot of people may not know about it, but to me, I like to call it a second savings account. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to invest in real estate. That is my primary investment. A lot of people do stock market and things like that. But I like real estate because one of the perks is this, the HELOC. So if I
Exactly.
need to get money out quickly to do, regardless if it's renovations or something in our personal life, the HELOC to me can come to me quicker and it is less expensive and it is less tiring to do. So for me as a real estate agent, broker, as well as an investor. The HELOC, well, real estate is what I like to invest in because I like to use the HELOC loan. So today, guys, that's what we're going to be going over. So if you are a homeowner and you're like, hey, I want to purchase, because we are talking about purchasing here on our podcast, right? All things purchasing. And this is one part of purchasing, believe it or not, because I do have a lot of clients, Carly, that they come to me as sellers, but they also need to purchase. And I like to call it a simultaneous close and purchase, where we need to sell your current home and then you are able to purchase your new home because maybe your debt to income ratio can't support 2 mortgages, right? So in
Right.
saying that, guys, if you've lived in this house for 5-10 years and you lived in the house, meaning that you've
Yeah.
not done any renovations and you got some things you need to get taken care of in the house to get it selling ready, right? So therefore, the HELOC loan, once again, will be that loan to take us through. All righty, so I'm gonna go on to our slide here. All right, and here we go. And our agenda for today, guys, we're going to talk about the understanding of a HELOC, right? The basics of it, how to qualify for a HELOC, the flexibility and strategies you can use with the HELOC, the risk and considerations, and then we'll have some closing tips and things to take away with, right? An introduction. Today, we're breaking down a topic that's been gaining a lot of attention: home equity lines of credit, or the HELOC. Many homeowners are opting for this financial tool as an alternative to refinancing, especially in today's market. We'll be diving into what a HELOC is, how it works, and why it might be the right choice for you. I am joined once again with my girly, my expert lender, Carly McLeod, who will guide us through everything we need to know about the HELOC loan. Okay, so welcome, Carly. Welcome. I can't hear you.
Oh, I muted myself. Okay, sorry about
There you
that.
go. There you
Hey
go.
guys, how are you? Happy Thursday. Whatever day it
Happy
is.
Thursday.
Yeah, so let's talk about HELOC. So HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit.
Okay.
So what does that mean? I think the first question is, what is equity? So equity is basically the difference between the value of your home and whatever you owe on it, right?
Okay.
So let's say you've been in the home for 10 years. You have a home that if you were to get it appraised, it would be $500,000 and you owe 100,000 left or something like that. You have $400,000 in equity. If you just bought your home and let's say you put the minimum down payment for a conventional loan, which is 3%, you have 3% equity in the home.
Exactly.
And that number grows by either paying your monthly payments and adding more equity, because every time you make a payment, part of that payment goes towards the equity in your home. So it's basically you taking money from one pocket and putting it in the other.
Yep.
And then also when the home grows in value, that's automatic equity, because what your home was worth when you purchased it and then 10 years later almost always is going to grow in value, and probably, especially if in the last 10 years, probably pretty significantly. So you get the advantage of that equity and you didn't even do anything. So that's the beauty of real estate.
Exactly. And you want me to go
Yeah.
to your next slide for
Yeah,
you?
let's keep going. Let's keep going here. So, let's see.
The HELOC versus the cash out.
Yeah.
What's the difference between those two?
Yeah, this is the big thing, because HELOCs have become particularly popular recently, and I'll tell you why. So you can also take equity out of your home with just a regular refinance. There's technically two types of refinance. You can do just what's called a rate and term,
Mm-hmm.
which is usually what people just use for lowering their interest rate if rates go down, like everybody did in 2020, 2021, 2022.
Right.
They also have a cash out version, which will allow you to do all the things that we're talking about today. Take money out to a lot of times pay down credit cards or something like that, or if you have renovations that you want to do in your home, maybe kids' college, whatever the case is going to be. Those are your two different types of refinance. But when you do either of those, your existing loan and more importantly, your existing interest rate goes away
Okay.
because the refinance essentially pays off your existing loan and you start with a brand new one, right?
Right.
So that's what a refinance does. So the issue with that right now is so many people have a 2 to 3% interest rate that they do not want to touch, very understandably.
Exactly.
We may never see 2 to 3% interest rate again. I don't know. We didn't expect to see it then, so who knows what's in the future. But
Yeah, that's true.
so that's the big thing. So you just have one loan, but it's going to be at the rates they are now, which could be rate and term interest rates are actually almost always better than cash out. If you're taking money out, you usually suffer a little bit in your interest rate. So
Okay.
you could be 6, 7, 8% in that interest rate right now. Um, Whereas if you do a HELOC instead, the beauty of that is that that does not touch your existing mortgage if you have one. So
Ex-
if you have that too, yeah, that this is the big thing right now. So you can take that equity out of your home and not touch your beautiful 2.5, 3%.
Exactly.
So beautiful. So that's really one of the biggest things. So the HELOC functions as a second mortgage. So now you have two mortgages on the property, you have two liens on the property, where the refinance is just one. It's all together. Um, and when we talk about a HELOC specifically, that functions like a credit card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So usually you're required to take a certain amount out in the beginning, but once let's say you are expecting a big paycheck, maybe you get a bonus every year, so taxes, whatever the case is going to be, tax return, you can pay that down, and now you have access to those funds again in the future.
Again. Mm.
So that's a HELOC. Now they have something similar called a HE loan, which
Okay.
is basically the same thing, except it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a loan. So you get that money and then you're paying that down as it goes.
Mm.
That's just a fixed set thing.
Okay. And
So,
let me ask real quick, Carly. So
mhm.
with the loan, right? Unlike with the HELOC, where it's like a credit card where it's revolving, I would call it, then
Yeah, exactly.
the
Exactly.
loan is like a loan. Like once I pay this back, that's it.
Mhm.
I no longer have access to it.
Exactly. And you use the words that we use too on the mortgage side, which is the HELOC is revolving like a credit
Okay.
card that you can pay it, pay down. A HE loan is like an installment debt.
Got
So, you have a certain number of years, your payment is this, and by the end of that term, you're paid for.
gotcha.
So those are kind of some of the basics. So let's keep going here on where
Another
we are.
thing I had, why, right? Given that it makes sense why homeowners are leaning towards HELOCs right now,
Mhm.
is the ability to keep that low rate the main reason for this shift, and I
Yeah.
think that.
For sure, for sure. The HELOCs, that's the biggest thing because the majority of people refinanced if they had a home prior to 2022 or so. So,
Right.
most everybody is I don't want to say most everybody, but a majority of people are in a really, really low interest rate. We call it golden handcuffs. It's a beautiful thing, but now you don't want to sell your home or do any sort of refinance because you don't want to lose that super, super low interest rate. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's the big thing. That's a lot of the reason why people are going to HELOC.
Okay. And then the next is how to qualify for a HELOC, Carly. So I'll let
Yeah, yeah. So it is a qualifying thing again. So the same way when you got your loan to purchase your home,
you.
um, this is something that you have to qualify for again. And reminder that unless you've paid the home off,
Okay.
which is the case, and you can get a HELOC if you've paid your home off.
Hmm.
Um, but you're going to be qualifying for this loan along with your existing mortgage.
Hmm.
So, you're going to have the room and the income and all that kind of stuff in your monthly income and debts to be able to qualify um,
The
for the
HELOC.
HELOC because it's a new line item basically on your credit report.
Hmm.
And HELOCs have an additional it's one of the qualifying pieces, and we'll go into all the like kind of little pieces of qualifying and everything like here
Okay.
too. But there are certain what we call loan to value limits on a HELOC. So you can't typically, I don't think I've ever seen a 100% loan to value HELOC. So that CLTV, so 75 to 85. So
Okay.
what that means is the combination of however much would be in that HELOC that you're interested in and the existing balance of your home has to be no more than 75 to 85% of the value of the home. So for example, if you have a $50,000 home loan and you want to take out $25,000 in a HELOC, that's $75,000, right?
Okay.
Your home would have to be somewhere between, you know, $100,000 or more to be able to qualify, because you can only take out, and I'm sorry that this is a range, but every HELOC product is somewhat different, and we have a lot of different options that allow you to do different things here and not there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So your loan to value could be fairly low in terms of you don't have access to whatever's left. So does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
you're
So
saying if the house is priced at 100K, I can
Mm-hmm.
only take out, well, value. I got to say value because it's all right. So if it's
Mhm.
valued at 100K, I can only take out about 75 to 85% of that equity amount in that house.
Exactly. So if the home is $100,000, you have a $50,000 loan. Depending on what your LTV is, you can only take out between $25,000 and $35,000. So you cannot take the entire $50,000 of equity that's in the home. There's always going to be a limit. They don't let you typically, I think I've seen them even up to 90 maybe, but that's not normal. And cash out refinances are capped at 80. So another reason why you might go with a HELOC is if you can get one that'll go up to 85, you can take out a little bit more value of the home. But some of them, and especially lower credit scores, might cap you lower. They might say, okay.
It does hard.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. HELOCs are a bit more strict in a lot of their regulations. So, whereas, you know, you could qualify for a loan sometimes down to 580, HELOCs are more common to be 640, 660, even up into the 700s to be able to even qualify for them. So they're basically giving you cash in hand. So they want to ensure that
pay it back.
that you'll pay it back. Exactly. And you're not topping out the entire amount of your loan and value of your home to be able to do so. Because then also, obviously, if anything goes where home prices go negative, which when do they ever do that? Very rarely.
Right.
But should that happen, then you're not going to be underwater in your home.
And the good thing about this too, Carly, is like I say, a lot of times I get the people who are looking to sell this house and then in turn purchase. So then at least this gives them an eye or a gateway into their situation to see, hey, I probably need to start working on this since I'm gonna be looking to purchase later on. So this is a gateway, in my opinion, to their credit, their finances, to get them in line to purchase also.
Right. Yeah, and you can use it as well. Like you can every HELOC has different regulations, so some allow some things and some don't. But you know, if you need to take out money on your current primary to help you buy your future primary, sometimes you can do that. The uses, a lot of times they don't have a ton of regulation on the uses, sometimes they do. But you know, using it for a huge thing, especially right now, is credit card consolidation. Because you got to think,
That's true.
you know, say, because credit card, I mean, as a country as a whole, our credit card utilization is through the roof. It's more than it's ever been. During COVID, when everybody got those payments, you saw that graph creep down. And I was like, oh, good job, Americans. Like they got money and they paid their debt. I love that. But then it's gone right back up. So, but yeah, so that's a huge thing because you've got a lot of credit cards that are 20, 25, 30% interest on them. And yeah, maybe you don't love an 8, 9% interest rate on a HELOC. Way better than 25, right? And that's paid off and they're all consolidated into one payment of, you know, anywhere between 10 and 30 years. So it's usually a lot lower, more manageable. Yeah,
and a whole
so it's an
lot
option.
better. That's so true, Carly. I used to take that same approach back in the day when I had cars. Well, when I used to be in the military, what I would do was my bank would let me, let's say I have a car and it's actually worth $30,000, right? But I owe 20,000 on it. And I had another card that was owed 10,000 on it, right? That
Mhm.
bank now will allow me to take that second car payment, put it into this other car payment, and make this one car payment, one whole car payment, and now that car is paid off. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so I was
amazing.
able to do that. So depending on, you know, I know we're talking about people looking to sell, but if like you were saying about the credit card, if people aren't looking to sell, they're just needing some cash to do everyday things, that may be a good choice too. If
Mhm.
you're um having a vehicle or something that's high in interest and you can
Yeah.
possibly lock that 6, 7, 8%, that's a
Yeah.
whole lot better than a 15% car loan, car
For
interest.
sure. For sure. If that's what your rate is, yeah, I hope they're not that high. Are car interest rates that high? I don't even know. Are they?
I don't know. That just depends. Mine have,
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
since
Yeah.
I was in my 20s, I ain't have them higher than the highest I've had was maybe 4 or 5%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then that's a way to think about it too. It's like let's look at your debts and let's see where are we at with these debts. If your HELOC is, let's say, a 9% interest rate or something like that, and your car payment's a 5, well then
Yeah.
it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to put your car payment into your HELOC because that's not going to help you. But if those credit cards are, like we said, 20,
Yeah.
25%, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a ton of sense. And if you're taking out that money as a down payment in your new home so that you're under the limits to not have mortgage insurance, maybe that makes a lot of sense for
Oh,
you,
that does.
you
That
know,
does.
type of things like that. So yeah, let's keep going here. I think we've addressed some of these questions, but we'll keep going.
I know, right? We have, we still, we're
Where's
so this is the flexibility and strategic uses of HELOC, right?
okay,
And so I'll talk about this a little bit, Carly, okay? And you can just
okay,
so we were just touching on this too, some uses that people use the HELOC for. A credit card, I didn't even think about that one, Carly, but that one is definitely a great one. So
it's
I would say
huge.
loans or debt that surpasses what the interest rate may be for a HELOC, I would say go ahead and try that out, right? But now, if
Mm-hmm.
you are a homeowner that you're saying, hey, Keneshia, I want to get this house sold so I could go ahead and purchase my dream home or the next home. We have a job that's in another location, whatever that may be. These are some of the areas in the home that I would suggest to go ahead and use the HELOC for, because the return, Carly, the return is a lot greater in these areas, right? So a
Yeah.
kitchen remodel, right? I would say in here, my suggestions in here is countertop. So depending on the age of your house, some of them may have that Formica countertop. That's like, not a lot of people like that. It tears apart
Anymore.
sometimes real easily. You may
Mm-hmm.
want to trade and go up to a granite or a quartz. Quartz is really, really, really what's on the market right now. It's one of the better countertops. I would arguably say it's better than granite. And that's me. And the reason I say that is because a lot of builders will let you know that granite is porous. So therefore,
Mm,
seep through it and things like that, where quartz isn't. And both are really good, sturdy countertops, right? You can update your cabinetry. Like, you don't have to think of your renovations as going to be like these extreme renovations and it's going to be very costly. Listen, I do renovations all the time. And you can save money on little things, doing things on your own. Like, for instance, Rust-Oleum is this paint that my husband and I, we like to go to Home Depot or any of the box stores, and you get this Rust-Oleum paint. And what we do is on our cabinetries, whenever we feel like we want to update those or change the colors of those, instead of taking out and ripping out cabinets and spending thousands and thousands of dollars, no, we go through and we find what color Rust-Oleum paint we want for our cabinets, and we follow the directions, and boom, like new cabinets, right?
hmm
Change out hardwares. That's a big impact on your kitchen as well. Backsplashes, those don't cost a lot, and you can really spruce up your kitchen.
hmm
Lights. A lot of the old kitchens, y'all know they have those big old box lights or you know, take those out the house. Take those out the house.
Yeah, they go.
Put recessed lights in now. That's the upgrades, right? So now you get with a trusted real estate agent and let them tell you, hey, this is what I'm seeing in the houses. Because I like to tell people I represent sellers and buyers. So I know what a buyer is looking for when they're going around with me looking in houses. And I know what sellers are like saying, oh, I don't want to spend on this. But then me as an investor, I'm like, this will make you some change. So let's fix
Mhm.
it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Painting, a rule of thumb, painting may not, for say, bring so much, what would I say,
Value.
ROI.
Mhm.
However, a beautifully painted, a freshly painted house will draw that attention of buyers, right? So when I'm walking through houses and we have chip paint or this is cracked, or my worst, the pet peeve of mine is seeing old paint that you've ran new paint over, and I can see the thickness. I can see that this has been painted over a couple times. Just strip the paint off and do a fresh coat of paint. It makes a world of a difference, because a buyer, I'm telling you, it's like they're in there with a magnifying glass. They're trying to see everything, and what you think they're not going to see, they see it. Okay. And you can
Mhm.
look for a return about 60 to 80% on what your investment is into that kitchen, right? So let's move right along. Bathroom renovations is another big one, right? Some things to look at is you can install new vanities, just like how you can install new new countertops. You can install new vanities and have the countertops match the kitchen. A lot of people don't do that. Like it flows so well when I'm going through a
Mhm.
house and the kitchen countertops look like this, and then the bathroom countertops. And even if the cabinets all match and are in unison, it catches a buyer's eye. So if you're a seller out there and you're putting your house on the market, take these tips. It really matters, the cohesion of your house and how your house flows. Okay. Small things like a toilet. A toilet does not cost a lot, guys. So if you've lived in this house for 5 years, 10 years, change out the toilet. The toilet is maybe $200, seriously, and it makes a
Mhm.
difference, because people do come to your house and they'll lift up the toilet seat. They'll open up the shower curtains to see how the tub looks. All right. They'll open up the cabinets and see up underneath the cabinets, is there water damage and things like that. So take care of those little minute things that you think that they're not paying attention to. And lastly, but definitely not the only thing, energy efficient upgrades. Guys, AC, your HVAC makes a big difference, right? So
Mhm.
the buyers are going to get a home inspection done. Just get ready and understand that. So in this home inspection, if it shows that this AC is like 12 or 15 years old, you know what that buyer's mind is saying? Oh my gosh, I'm buying this new house, and as soon as I get in there, the AC is going to break down on me, right? So you
Mhm.
take all those what ifs out of their mind. So all they can focus on now is, where am I going to put my furniture? Where do this couch go, right? So if you take care of those big items like the HVAC, like I say, the roof, because the roof is an energy efficient upgrade also, right? Check the insulations that's inside of your attic. Make sure that those insulations are still intact, or if you need to switch out from the traditional insulation and do some blown in insulation, that's an option as well. Those of you that like solar panels, I know those are energy efficient, but if you are not planning on paying off that solar panel, it will hurt you worse. So even though on here it says
Yes.
some of the typical improvements is solar panels, guys, like I say, I do this every day, all day. Solar panels, while you're living in the house, may save you money. They are a in the
A
butt,
pain
pain
in
in the
the
butt
butt.
time to sell your house. Okay.
Oh my
Solar
God.
companies, and I'm going to put this out here, be careful of these solar companies that everyone is running out. Oh, I'm going to save this. I'm not going to have light bill and this and that. Research the solar companies before you go ahead and sign on with these solar companies, okay? Research them, research their finance companies that they're using, because what I am experiencing as a real estate agent trying to sell houses is they'll say this loan can be transferred, and no, it can't. They will put the new buyer through every hanger to
Mhm.
ensure that that loan does not get transferred, and you are left with that ticket. And so what will happen is the buyer is going to say, that's not my debt. I don't want to pay for that. You put the solar in the house. You're responsible for that. So it's either you're going to take care of that or you're stuck with this house. Okay. So I would say for those of you who have been thinking about solar, it is a great saving. It is a great thing to have. However, if you're thinking about selling your house soon and you've not paid it off, I would say, no, don't do it.
100%. 100%. It is such a pain in the butt. And then I've had people try to just take it off the house and it destroys the roof in the process and things like that.
I've never had anyone. I've had the
Mhm.
question. We
Yeah.
actually went back to the solar company, and this is how dirty they are. And it was just a couple months, literally. And it was a military member, and he had to switch duty stations. So it was one of those things he purchased, and it was like 6 months later, and he needed to sell right away because his duty station.
Mhm.
Contact the solar company after 2 months of having the solar on the house, and they were like, "No, we can't come back and take it off." And they were just not helpful whatsoever. And he got
Yeah.
the bill, and he still have that house, like
Yeah.
still trying to sell it, but you got this big solar bill on there. So, man, just think about it twice before.
Yeah, just do your research. I'm not saying it's a terrible idea. It may be great for you, but yeah, it can be I've seen this from a lending standpoint too. It can be a deal killer. Um, or just you're just stuck with it, like Keneshia said. So totally agree on that.
So the other upgrades, do the other upgrades. Do you
Yeah, do them first.
do
I
your
know,
roof?
which sounds crappy, like we would love to be more energy efficient and using clean resources and stuff like that. But and if you know that's your forever home, that's probably when to pull that trigger. That then it's yours. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Hmm. So let's
keep
go
going.
to the next slide. And it is risk and considerations of HELOC. And here,
Yeah.
what are the risks of using a HELOC? While HELOCs can be a great financial tool, what are some of the risks people need to consider before jumping into a HELOC?
Yeah. So HELOCs in general, your interest rate is going to almost always be a good bit higher than what you would get just from a regular refinance. This is one of the negatives. And HELOCs also tend to be adjustable rate mortgages.
Okay.
So they're not a fixed payment. Now, we're hoping in the coming environment that an adjustable rate will benefit you. Because
Yeah.
if you get it now, interest rates are what they are. They've climbed back again. We hope that they'll continue to go down at the end of the year. Right now, it's been crappy,
Mhm.
but rates will adjust with the market when we're talking about a HELOC. So, and there are even options, just so you know, these exist for interest-only payments on your HELOCs for a portion of the loan. Say, you might have a traditional 30-year loan term, 360 months,
Mhm.
but then 10 years of it are interest only. So during that time, you're not paying any principal on that. It's just the interest, which sounds great. But now, once you get to year 20, however much you have on that HELOC, now the principal's due, and you either start paying that down if you haven't already, or you go and
Mm.
get a new HELOC and refresh it and get a new one or something like that.
Okay.
Um,
So
People
with
do
that
that.
one that you're talking about, Carly, that you said what, 20,
Interest only.
yeah, interest only 20 years. So they'll let you pay interest to a certain period of time, and then they said, hey, the principal comes due.
Yeah, so it'll be like a 10-year interest only period and then a 20-year regular amortizing loan. So that's another risk for I can go into this. This might be a little too in the weeds, but amortizing means this is another way how banks can kind of get one over on you. Um, Loans, especially even fixed rate loans, are something that we call amortizing. So um, you might be paying the same total amount of principal and interest a month. Say it's $1,000, but
Okay.
in the beginning it's $100 of principal and $900 of interest. And
Mhm.
those two slowly shift to by the end of the loan, you're paying almost all principal and very little interest. Why is that? Because the banks are going to get their money up front. And no, you're probably not going to be in that house. I think the average is something like 5 to 7 years in a home. So they're going to collect all that interest up front in the beginning. And that's another downfall of a refinance because when you do a refinance, let's say you've been paying on the home for 10 years,
Mhm.
And now you're getting to the point where you're paying a good amount of principal every time you're making a payment because those have come closer to being equal before the principal starts being more than the interest.
Right.
Well, when you refinance, you're back again. So now you're paying all interest in the beginning again. Yeah,
Exactly.
banks don't give you anything for free. They're going to let you have a lower interest rate, but they're going to collect all that
Up
heavy
front.
percentage up front. And that's a good thing about a HELOC is yes, the interest rate is higher, but you can get away with paying interest only for, a lot of them have like a 10-year interest only period and then like a 20-year for the remainder of it. So,
When we say the remainder of it, Carly, are we
mm,
saying like we pay that interest the first 10 years and then it's just strictly principal after that, or
mm-mm.
is it principal and interest?
Hmm.
Gee.
Principal and interest. But you get away, I mean, you can always pay in the same way with your regular loan, you can always pay principal in the beginning. So it's a nice option to not be required to pay that principal up front. You just have to be mentally aware that if you have a 30-year loan that you don't pay any principal on for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
then obviously you're backloading the end of your payments on that, unless you refinance it and get it into a new 30-year loan, whatever the case is. But yeah, and should anything crazy happen with interest rates, should they go through the roof for whatever reason, it's adjustable. So if the
Mm,
market gets worse, your payment gets higher.
yeah.
So there's a little bit of there's risk in that
That's right.
too. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Let me go on to our next. And let me see, did I ask, could taking out a HELOC impact someone's ability to get a mortgage for a new property or other loans?
sure,
You know,
sure. Absolutely, because every loan that you take going forward
mhm,
will impact your ability for a future loan if you're not paying it off. So when we say you have your existing home and maybe you're not selling it, you're going to turn it into investment property or whatever, and you're going to your new home.
mhm,
Um, you're going to have to qualify for this whatever future home with more debt in your debt profile when we see more liabilities as we call them.
mhm,
So if you have the income to make up for that, or if you've paid off other things in the meantime or something like that, then that might benefit you. But a lot of times coming to the table with more debt means you're going to qualify for less unless you have the income to make up for it. So yes, there are things to take into consideration. And when you go sell that home that has a HELOC on it, let's say you're selling it all together, um, that HELOC has to go with it. So you're going to have to satisfy is the wording that they use. You're going to have to pay off that HELOC too. So keep that in mind when you're selling. If you're expecting X amount of proceeds from the sale of your home, you need to take that HELOC out of it too, because that's good. You're not going to be able to leave that open and
mhm.
go to your next home. Like
Exactly.
that has to be closed out before you go to the next one, unless you're keeping it.
Yep. And I'll
Um,
piggyback on you with that, Carly, and give them an example of on the real estate side. So I would say definitely get with your real estate agent before you even start this process in a sense, because you want to make sure if I'm going to take out a HELOC, it's going to go towards something that's going to make this property value go up, and therefore when I do sell it, it will take care of this HELOC. So
mhm.
we'll make sure, which I'm glad that the HELOC won't allow you to take out more than you can afford anyway. So that's
Right.
great. But I don't want people to just go and just freely neely like, oh, they say I qualify for this and I'm going to take this out, because if
Hmm.
you have the mindset that you're going to purchase after this, you're going to make it a little bit more difficult, or not for us, but for yourself. Like, you're going to owe more. So therefore, when you sell and you don't get that big bag in a
Yeah,
second
right.
end, then if you've squandered this other money here, then it's like, oh man, I did all this for nothing. So if you want to actually see the benefit of this HELOC, and you're doing this because, hey, I want to sell and I want to go ahead and purchase another house, my suggestion will be, let's sit down, let's come up with let's formulate a plan on what items you should renovate. Let me possibly get one of my contractors out to do a quote for you. Let's see if this is going to be above your budget. Should we even consider this, or can we consider something else that's going to bring as much value but it costs us less? So we'll need to strategize this to make sure you get the best bang for your buck, in a sense, and that when we get ready to sell this house, it's you get some equity out of it.
Yeah, you actually come away with profit from your home. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just wanted to share that with people,
of
Carly,
course.
so they're not just willy-nilly just running out here.
Right.
Oh, well, in closing, well, we did go over a lot. We did.
Yeah, we did. You
Yeah.
know, it can definitely be something that can help you a lot. It's right now a lot preferable to just a regular refinance.
Mhm.
If you are somebody in the divorce world, sometimes refinances have to be your option, but HELOCs can also help you do equity buyouts if you're having to pay the departing spouse whatever amount of money. That's also something that you can use it for. I didn't say that earlier.
That is
Uh,
really nice. I had a
yeah,
friend that went through a divorce. Huh. I
yeah.
wow, that's good to
But the good thing about divorces, if you can't go the HELOC route for any reason, is divorces, as long as you're just paying the equity out to the spouse, you're not taking out any more money for things like renovations or credit cards and stuff like that. You can do that better version of a refinance called a rate and term and take out that money. It's divorce is a special like circumstances they'll allow that. That may be again too much in the weeds.
No, Carly,
Um,
I don't think that is because I'm sure people go through problems every
they
day
do.
and
Yep.
and having a solution ready for them would be
Hmm.
ideal. Because like I said, I had a friend that she went through a divorce and the house is left to her. However, he still wants a piece of the pie, but if she's not ready to get rid of this house and don't want to sell it, then they could come up with an agreement to keep the house, right? She keeps the
Yeah.
house.
Right.
She could deed. They can do where the house is just deed to her, a
A
long
quick claim deed.
quit claim deed, right? And
Hmm.
then from there she could do a HELOC and then
A
pay
HELOC.
him his difference, and then
Yeah.
just move right along. And
Yeah.
she doesn't
Yeah.
have to worry about doing that legal
Yeah.
expense and all of that.
Yeah. Again, a HELOC, the only another negative thing about HELOCs is just the general qualifications, as you saw on the other slides, are more strict.
Yeah.
We talked about how you can't take the full value of the house out. We talked about how you might have to have a higher credit score. There's
Mhm.
also your debt to income ratio, which can be standard. It can go up to 50, but sometimes it's 45 or 43, which means you
Mhm.
can't qualify for as much as you normally would. So
Right.
in general, the HELOCs are just a little bit more strict. Any instance of a bank just giving cash out, like a cash out refi or a HELOC, banks are a little more strict about those things because they're just handing you cash,
Right.
essentially.
Right.
So, but they're great options. And I think it's just deserves a conversation to see if it fits you. Because I've had people that have done this and had consolidated, had one, I think the very first one I ever did, she saved something like $1,000 a month, consolidating all of her credit cards into one HELOC or a refi. And
Mhm.
that's spread over, could be a 30-year term. So imagine that. So,
That's a
you know,
whole mortgage
that's
for
a whole
100,000, 200,000. Girl.
I'm
Oh my
telling
goodness.
you, they can make huge differences in your life. Really,
Yeah.
they can.
Heck yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's it for us, Carly. We did our
Yeah.
closing and any questions. I can see
Yeah.
if there's any questions on here on the PowerPoint. I don't see any questions there. Let me check with our Facebook. We did have some people here on our Facebook. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, like we say, week in, week out, and also on our YouTube, Carly. And if anyone on our YouTube have any questions, let
Yeah.
us know. Write in and let us know, guys. Every week, whether Thursday, Friday, we're getting our dates together. You got to understand, we're people, we're working, we have families and things
Yeah.
like that. So we're trying to get come on times where you guys it's feasible for you as well as for us. And so we're trying some lunchtime and some evening time. So
Yeah.
we'll update you guys on social media when the next one will be.
If
Whether
there's a preference,
Mhm.
throw it in the comments. Tell
Yeah,
us,
shout it
tell us
out.
that, time that might work because we're just doing whatever we think
We're
works.
doing what we love to do, y'all. We sharing what we do every day, day in,
Yeah.
out. If we get some scenarios or some
Yeah.
files that we feel we want to share with you guys, we can start doing that as well. But
Hmm.
No more. I don't have any questions on here on Facebook,
Okay.
so I'm gonna go ahead and end this live on Facebook, guys. Check us out on YouTube. Go on YouTube
Mhm.
to see the whole PowerPoint slides that we put together and how we're talking about it, and so you can track along with us. All right. So check us out on YouTube. All right. So that was Facebook, and then let me go ahead and close out our YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, this was awesome. And
Yeah.
our YouTubers, thank you guys for joining in with us. Until next time, you guys will get prompts for our next one, okay? Hit the notification bell. All right. Talk to y'all
There you go.
soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, Miss Carly.
Yeah. Good to,
Good.
I talked to Tim about the reverse mortgage. I mean, I probably need to bother him again and see if he wants to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
tell Tim he wants to do it.
I know I told him, I was like, what does it hurt? He's older, his kids are out of the house, all that kind of stuff. So, he could definitely